Hi, it's Kane Hodder, Jason from Friday the 13th. You're watching Slash and Cast. Keep watching, or I'll kill you and your whole family.
What's going on, horror fans? Welcome to another episode of Slash and Cast. My name is Riley. That is Nick. And before we get things started, we wanted to mention the fact that we are indeed giving away an Xbox One S. There it is, brand new, 500 gigs. It can stand vertically, which is why we're also giving away a vertical stand, and a copy of Friday the 13th, the game. There's a link in the description to enter to give that thing away. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Speaking of Friday the game, that's going to be our first topic because that's what we do here. Now, there's not much news here. First of all, PAX East was on March 10th. That was a week ago. We did cover that on March 11th. So there's a card right here, somewhere around this area that Nick will put there. Go check that out. We covered the whole thing, broke it down entirely. So yeah, if you missed it, that's a place to go. Now, next, Wes Keltner did a little bit of his little blog, and he broke down basically what they fixed after the beta when it comes to the sense abilities of Jason. It's not crazy news, but it's something worth noting here. So, first of all, he said, think of sense like a net he cast out, okay? And this net can reach out and, the farther in the game you go, the larger your net gets. It's exactly what you would expect. So, it's basically a big circumference of net, and if you're inside of that net, he can see you. It lights up red and whatnot. They did bring this down a little bit after the beta, so he's definitely weakened, especially at the beginning of the game. But of course, once that rage ability builds up with Jason, where he really becomes OP towards the end of the game, that the net pretty much covers the entire map, and he'll see you anywhere. So it really, what this does is makes the first 2 to 3 minutes of a game a bit slower, leaving counselors safer to find parts and tools and anything, weapons. Pretty much exactly what you should be doing. You can build a phone, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what you know. Now, Wes said that this change actually increased the fun factor tremendously. In fact, that it, the outcomes of counselors getting a vehicle started increased and getting the cops called and whatnot. But he said, just to clarify, that this does not increase how much people escape, but more of like what's going on in the game. More things happen, okay? So it's not just... It increases the length of the game, first of all. So it's not everybody dying in 10 minutes or everybody escaping through the cops in 5. So there's more outcomes. So more people go to try fixing the car, fixing the boat, etc. So also using items and controls properly ups the chances of you coming out alive. But ultimately, what the change provided was longer matches. So that's pretty much all the news we have right now. Okay, still no release date.
Early 2017.
Early 2017. We clarified in the PAX East panel that is April. They're pretty locked into April, so we should, I'd imagine within the next couple weeks, we see a release date. Don't quote me on that, but I would say just stay patient.
They're very close.
They're very close. Very, very close indeed. Bear with them. Let's go ahead and move on to our next line of news here, which is the Halloween reboot. We haven't talked about this in a while. Last time we talked about it was that it was delayed, okay? And it wasn't long ago that legendary director John Carpenter revealed that the next incarnation of Michael Myers' story will be penned by the writing team of David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, who they're usually known for comedy. So this is an interesting transition for them. But they also did Suspiria, and they did very well, okay? But Green shares the co-scripting duties with McBride, and Green also is in the director chair. So good for him, first of all. It's really cool. And Carpenter is on board as the executive producer and also looks like he might score the film. That's old news. We know about that. But here's a quote from David Gordon Green saying, Jason Blum came to me. I'm a huge horror fan, and I've never made one. I developed Suspiria for several years with Luca Guadagnino. Sorry if I butchered that name. Who's finishing directing it. It's going to be incredible. I woke up at a hotel and had this email from Jason that said, Halloween reboot, you get it, what do you say? I was just like, what the fuck does that mean? I wrote him back and said, call me immediately. My body is reacting to this. Because Halloween is one of those influential movies that I was never allowed to see and lied about having not seen to my parents for years. It hits all the right taboos, and it had a lore to it. We're just writing it now. Now McBride, also the co-writing duo here, adds that the coolest part about that was going to John Carpenter and pitching him. If he didn't like the take, it wouldn't bode well. He's one of my biggest heroes. I think we were just so concerned about getting the job that we didn't think about how fucking scary it was to go and sit down in front of him to tell him we'd continue the story he'd created. It wasn't until afterward that we realized, fuck, this could go so badly. We'll be really hurt if he schools us right now. So what I get out of these two quotes is, one, that they're extremely on board. It's nice to have a fan in the director seat, right? I'm thinking, for some reason, when I think of this movie, Freddy vs. Jason comes to my head, and if you're really a fan of like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and you've seen Freddy vs. Jason, you understand that like Ronnie Yu didn't know a damn thing about either franchise. He really only saw the first one in each one. So, yeah, it's nice to have them in role.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, it's truly interesting to see the new Halloween film come on board, and it's currently scheduled to be in theaters October 19th of 2018.
Please,
yeah. I imagine so. When John Carpenter on board, they're gonna push things
forward.
Yeah, it's gonna push things pretty quickly. But let's go and move on to next to news. Alien Covenant.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. Alien Covenant's been scaring us. The prologue that came out was pretty garbage. That's what we said. We covered that. We didn't really like the prologue that came out. Thought it was edited really poorly, and some of the choices that they made when it came to cast and character seemed pretty weak. But we got a little more news here, which is also scary. Also, recently, the trailer came out. We were going to cover that. We decided not to cover that because we didn't feel like butchering the film even more, but the trailer didn't seem too solid to me either.
No.
It was better, but it wasn't good. Okay? Now, just recently, we noted the fact that Alien prequels, it's going, moving forward, whatnot. But Ridley Scott, every time Ridley Scott does an interview, he spoils so much about everything he's doing. It doesn't matter whether it's Alien Covenant or, well, just anything. He reveals films he's not supposed to reveal, and he did that once again. It's what Ridley Scott does, okay? Here's a quote from Ridley Scott saying, "There will be another one before we kind of literally and logically, clockwise, back into the rear back head of the original Alien." Yeah, I know it's a mouthful.
What?
Jesus. Yeah, I know. Jesus. Continuing on, quote, "It will go Prometheus, Awakening, Covenant, fairly integral where this colonization ship is on the way." I don't know if you picked up on that. It said Prometheus, Awakening, Covenant. What the hell is Awakening? Yeah, we don't know because he's not supposed to say that.
Oops.
So it appears that Alien the next Alien film after Covenant is going to be Alien Awakening.
Awakening, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah.
In itself.
So that's not actually the part that scares me. I mean, Ridley Scott is doing what Ridley Scott does. That's not that big of a deal. What he also said in this interview is that he plans on doing Alien prequels until the day he dies. No. Why? I love Alien. I really do. I love Aliens. I'm not a big fan of Alien 3. After that, it gets kind of messy for me. But Alien and Aliens is fantastic. Can we just leave it there? I think what we're learning from 2017 is that franchise comebacks aren't exactly the best idea.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, if you go watch your top 10 anticipated list for this year, it's not going too well for us.
No, not at all.
Right now, it seems like Split's the only one that's hanging in there. But like these franchises are dying. Rings was horrendous.
Yeah.
And Friday the 13th canceled, Halloween delayed, probably for good reason, and it's nice that we've done. So that one might actually make it, but we still have like Cult of Chucky coming this year. It on its comebacks, which we'll discuss later. But yeah, Alien Covenant. I personally don't think Alien Covenant looks too good right now. Hopefully, it shocks me. I want Alien Covenant to be good. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that we might see 5 more of these things is terrifying.
I don't know if I'm gonna even see Covenant. If it's free, maybe.
I'm sure we'll see it to review it because since we talk about it so often, I don't think it's something that I really want to devote money to. I'm hoping we get to do a screening for it. So, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on though, huh? Jeepers Creepers 3. It's been coming up quite a bit lately.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, we had our last legitimate episode of Slash and Cast before the PAX East panel was really discussing the controversy that sits around Jeepers Creepers 3. Last month we learned that Adrienne Barbeau had joined the cast at Jeepers Creepers, okay? And it wasn't even a week later she's like, this is not true. I'm not on the cast. Like, why? And what we talked about was it seemed like she's hopping off because of Victor Salva and the petition's going out. Once again, here we go. If you don't know about Victor Salva, the director of Jeepers Creepers 3, who's also the director of Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2, okay? But in 1988, he is a rapist. He is a child molester. It's not good stuff. He did serve his time unlike most, but it wasn't a very long sentence. It was a sentence of 15 months. For having sex with a 12-year-old boy on the set of a film, okay? So pretty serious stuff. We don't want to get into that again. We're going to try avoiding that, but just know that's what it seems like. Adrienne Barbeau stepped out of the casting because of that. But she's been replaced by Meg Foster, none the least, right? This role, the character name is Galen Brandon, whose son Kenny was killed by the Creeper. So if you're going to replace her, I don't think Meg Foster's a bad choice. I mean, we've seen Meg Foster in Leviathan, They Live, The Lords of Salem, pretty much anything Rob Zombie recently. She was in 31 as well. But yeah, she has 120 film and TV acting credits to her name. So it's not a bad choice. It's not the worst thing that could happen. But the casting in general, the speculation that sits around this film is unbelievable. We actually tried. We were going to talk about the last time we talked about Jeepers Creepers was Gina Phillips, and that we'll see what happens with her. Last thing we heard, she's not in it. But then last thing we heard again, she is in it.
It seems like every other article we read, this person is joining Jeepers Creepers 3 without Gina Phillips, and then the next one with Gina Phillips. Who's in this movie?
I don't even... Dude, yeah, Jeepers Creepers 3, it's such a mess because on top of the cast being an issue, we've discussed a couple times with, like, good evidence that the film is done, that it's been done for years, but hasn't been able to find a distributor. But now we find out they're shooting again. But what's the actual cast? What's the actual story? It's just a complete mess.
AMC confirmed that Jeepers Creepers 3 was done and looking for distribution. And over a year, 2 years later, was it? Maybe...
It was, I think, 3.
Yeah, 3 years later, last month, they're shooting again, and we both laughed. We're like, no, they aren't. No. And then turns out, yeah, they are. As far as we know, who knows?
Oh man, I don't. Like, it's weird because we've seen some on-set pictures, which is actually how the reveal of Meg Foster came about. Was a picture from an Instagram account from one of the crew members, as they were doing a movie cam shot with Meg Foster, but. I haven't seen Victor Salva on set. The only thing the most, things I've seen on Jeepers Creepers 3 since then is the petitions going out about Victor Salva. That's pretty much the most newsy here on it. Other than that, it's, Adrienne Barbeau quit.
It's a shame. Fans really want Jeepers Creepers 3.
That's another thing that's weird. Jeepers Creepers 3, people were begging for it, right? Just begging for it. There were pages with, hundreds of thousands of people begging for this thing, right? It finally starts moving forward. Tens of thousands of people sign a petition to get it canceled. And now I don't want to be. I'm not going to pick a side here, okay? Because I understand why people hate Victor Salva. Totally get it. I totally get why they don't want the film to happen. But I also see the other side of Hollywood's a fucked up place, full of fucked up people. And I think Victor Salva is one of the few people that have actually served time out of those people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to condone a pedophile.
Yeah, we got into this. Episodes ago.
But yeah, ultimately the news is Meg Foster's in the film now. Sorry that went on so long, but that is the news. All right. Next, let's move on to It. All right, we talked about It several times. Okay, the new adaptation of Stephen King's It has been coming together for a decent amount of time now. The plan for the project currently is presented in 2 separate films. Okay, which is being produced by Dan Lin, Roy Lee, Seth Graham-Smith, and David Katzenberg. I want to talk about this real quick because there was some controversy sitting around what we said about the 2-part idea going into It. That was that the original It, as in the book, the whole concept of the original story of It is that there's the story from the children's perspective, there's a story from the adult perspective, which is fine. It works great within that storytelling perspective. What we're saying with the 2-part concept is that it's much different pulling it to film. I don't know how it'll register with audience as well. And once it can work. it can be done. And it seems so far they're doing a decent job because the biggest news right now is Stephen King came out and said, now this is a quote from his like agent or something, but he wanted to let everyone know that they should stop worrying about it, as the producers have done a wonderful job with the production. Simple quote, short and sweet, but Stephen King is not afraid to say what he means.
Yeah.
And no, I wasn't born at this time, but keep in mind that when The Shining came out, he hated it. He hated The Shining because it does shy away from his, the way he tells the Shining story. It's very different from book to screen. Personally, I think it's a problem. They're both great in their own concept, but
Definitely.
yeah. So what you should know from this quote, if you're asking me, is that it follows really closely to his book. That's what Stephen King prefers when he has an adaptation to screen. So I would say get ready for it to follow the book really closely and expect that two-part series to work, is what I say. I think there's a good chance that actually will do well. So, hey, that's good news.
Yeah. Top 10 anticipated, as we said, hasn't been going very well lately.
Yeah.
This is
one we still have
the
hope.
glimmer of hope.
Yeah. There's not too much left.
Right.
So, yeah, this is what we need to work. Okay. Now, it is still scheduled to come out September. So, good news. Good news. I will say, before we move on, that if you're going to do a two-part movie, this is the way to do it because it's written in a way to be a two-part movie. Not stuff like The Hunger Games, Harry Potter. Those are types of things don't work in two-part movies because they're just not necessary. They're just looking for money.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and move on to our last topic of the day, and that is the Scream TV series. Okay, we haven't talked about this in a long time, but in case you didn't know, the Scream TV series is based off a movie franchise.
Which movie franchise?
Oh, it's called Scream. Scream has been wildly inconsistent so far when it comes to its seasons. I don't understand. I guess it's not really that inconsistent because it went from 10-episode season,
A pilot season.
an actually decently long pilot season,
to
a 13-episode second season.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty much what you expect them to jump up. But now we're going into season 3, and it's a 6-episode season. Let's talk about why that's the case. So season 1 did fairly well on MTV. Okay. The expansion into season 2, the ratings dropped tremendously. So what that meant is they just want to reboot it because MTV is so behind Scream. They've always been behind Scream. Like I'm talking like even for the movies. Okay, so like Scream 3 still plays MTV all the time. And if you were around the year 2000, which I'm guessing a lot of you were, if you were watching MTV in the year 2000 when Scream 3 was actually a thing, they covered it like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Scott Foley was doing interviews and whatnot, and who really cares about Scott Foley now?
Right.
You know? So yeah, MTV's always been behind Scream, and so they want to keep it alive. So they're just going to reboot it, call it a season 3. So this is weird.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's basically they're starting over, but under the same name.
It's literally a new series.
Yeah, it's a brand new series. It's a second pilot season.
It's a season 3 to a series that it's not. It's I don't know. It's so confusing. It looks at this time. Now this is fairly at the time of us recording this. This is pretty new news.
Right.
Okay. It looks like there's going to be a new cast, an entirely new plot and story. I'm guessing, the costume of which we see in Ghostface, which is, I mean, if you look at this mask, a lot of people didn't like this, especially coming from the movie. It is a little creepier, and honestly, yeah. And when you see people like that are a fan of the TV series but didn't watch the movies before, they tend to like this more.
Yeah.
So I guess that's just like us fanboys, like not being able to let go of the franchise we love. Sorry, I like the other one more.
I mean, I have not seen the Scream TV series. I definitely need to. I said that like a year ago that I'm going to check it out. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I've only heard good things. Even though ratings may have dropped, I've still heard that it's got a good plot.
Yeah, I've seen 5 episodes from season 2, so I need to catch up as well. But I will say the 5 I saw were quite a bit better than season 1. I think the vibe that is Scream is caught a little bit better in season 2.
Now, hopefully they take those aspects and put them in this new series, this new season. Make it feel a little bit more like the movies.
I think what I was about to say, I think this is a ray of hope for the Scream franchise lovers because when season 1 first, the pilot episode came out, my God, the outrage. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I mean, this is what I expected. It's
Right.
not going to be the movie. But yeah, the outrage was unbelievable. The Scream fans were just freaking out. It's like, this is not the franchise I grew up with. You've just torn. Wes Craven's legacy is gone. And while they're right, you had to realize this is an MTV show. They can't just do the movie again. But yeah, I mean,
Sometimes you need something different.
yeah.
And it worked well.
It worked well for a little bit.
Yeah.
Now it's fallen off, and now they're rebooting it. I think they're gonna go a little closer to the movies.
They should.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, since I don't know how their copyright works
Right.
under the Scream title. I mean,
Right.
obviously they have the Scream title. I don't know how it works when it comes to characters. If they could actually do characters from the movies, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Of course, you're playing with Wes Craven's legacy again. This show became a lot more risky when Wes Craven passed away.
Right.
So now you're rebooting again. And I don't know. Maybe they should just let it go. Honestly, sorry. There are some huge Scream TV series fans out there, like huge Scream TV series fans.
Very big in Brazil.
Yeah, it is.
Very
It's
big.
huge in Brazil.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're not doing well, I'd let it die. You know.
Well, they're giving it one more try.
Yeah. So let me clarify again. If season 3 doesn't work out, go ahead and drop it. You know, I don't think it's gonna really kill MTV by any means to let Scream go. Might hurt some fans' hearts, but that's about it.
And you know, MTV doesn't tend to do this, but if that's the case and their TV ratings drop, maybe they make it into a web series.
Yeah.
They definitely have the ability to do that, and there's still a huge following. Fans of the show are hardcore fans.
Yeah, it's like they may not be that big and ratings may have went down, but the fans that are there are hardcore fans.
Yeah.
So I think what I would want to do with it, I'd try selling it to Netflix or something. Maybe let go of the title itself and just let it go to Netflix or Amazon even. I don't know. The options are there to keep it alive in a different way. So if you actually care about this series so much, let it go. Probably. All right, man. That's gonna be a wrap on Slashcast today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hey, you! Thanks for watching this episode of Slashcast. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and click that box right down there to check out last week's episode.
Also, if you want to check out the film the fans are calling the best fan film of all time, make sure you click that box right down there to check out our Friday the 13th fan film.
While you're at it, click that circle right there to subscribe to our channel. Never miss a video again.
As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.